Hi there, my name is Ash Shukla and I like to say namaste and welcome to my channel. My friend, if you like this video, go here at the bottom, give me some like, give me some love, make sure you share and absolutely be certain to subscribe to my channel by clicking the button below. So my friend, today we're going to be talking about benefits of love versus greed, meaning Anahata Chakra versus Muladhara Chakra, which one is better, right? We are going to really discuss which one is better for you. And the reason I chose this topic is I thought, okay, there's a lot of stuff going on right now all over the world, as you know. In the US, elections just ended. In all over the world there has been many other elections that happened, but more importantly, humanity is changing. Entire human race is beginning to take a shift, as we have seen in 2020 that even the nature has shifted. When you take a look at this year, what it has been like this entire year, it has been an amazing year. But at the same time, this year has had tremendous amount of challenges, right? Many people have faced lots of issues, and my prayers to those people who have faced lots of issues. So though what I have found with most people is that this year has been difficult, even though it has been a good year. But overall, as a humankind, there has been shift that has been happening, and it has been a nature wise, it has been a really bad year, as you know. That is, as a nature, like many people are sick. But at the same token, from a positive side, when you take a look at this year, it has helped out the environment. It has made so many industries boom. Actually, the internet industry obviously is booming. We have learned to work new ways, new way of thinking. Nowadays when I go on appointments, it takes me 1 second, where it used to take me 30 minutes to an hour. So people have become more efficient, right? When we take a look at the positive aspect of the game, it has affected us to some degree in a positive manner. But what has happened for sure is a shift. And to cope with this, we have to understand what's happening right now is that there is a, in Indian practices, we have a one God named Lord Shiva. And in that in Hindu scriptures, the about Lord Shiva, and what the scriptures have written is when you know things get out of balance. Basically, Lord Shiva, the who is a loving, caring God, who always looks upon you and helps you out whenever you need help. But when there is when there is a too much of imbalance going on, he performs a dance of called Tandava. And when he performs that dance, that's when destruction happens. And that's what I believe, that in many ways the stuff has been happening, where the earth, Mother Earth, has been taking a shift. Humanity has been taking a shift. And as we move into 2021, new realities of all of this will sink in. And as it's sinking in, and what's happening with the new reality, right, is that we have to cope with a new way of thinking, new way of dealing with things, new way of doing things that we have never done before, right? Like many people don't know internet, and I know a lot of people who are in their 50s and 60s, they have had to learn how to work the internet, which has been very difficult. um, Especially people in 70s and 80s. Right nowadays, if you take a look at from a little child to the oldest person, that has been a shift, that where they're learning about the internet, they are online. When you take a look at a little child, now the question becomes as to, is that really a good thing? Is that a good thing to always be on the internet? I would love your comments here, and would love to get some understanding around that. Because I'll tell you right now, that as we spend more time on a screen time, right, there's actually a good chance of getting sick. Like there are many studies that show that the energies from these screens, computer screens and things like that, right, it's not the best, right? And I'm sure you have seen this when you are watching, and when you're on zooming all the time, or you're online all the time, you are feeling fatigued and tired, right? We are sitting all the time, so we are beginning to it's affecting us in different ways. So the shift that's been happening in humanity between love and greed, right? And what's been happening is that we have imagined this life that, hey, what if, what if things were in a certain way, like, we could do things fast, we could do things efficiently, we don't have to travel anywhere, what would life be like? And that's what we are experiencing to some degree today. And the question is, what are we really chasing? Are you chasing love, or are you chasing greed? Because at the end of the day, to strengthen your Anahata Chakra, you have to understand the benefits and pros and cons of Muladhara Chakra, as to what happens in the Muladhara Chakra. So to explain this, I just want to put together a small story for you, where there was a Indian singer. It happened many years ago, over 500 years ago. Her name was Mira Bai. Now Mira Bai, as a person, she was a simple person. She always, literally, she loved to sing, she loved to, that's what she loved doing. And she would always be in her zone, and she would be singing all the time. And what she would be singing about is the Lord Krishna. So she would always be singing about Lord Krishna. She was completely in love with the Lord. I'm sure you're in love with your God, right? Whoever that you may believe in. So, but she was in love with her God, and she was always in this singing and happy and harmonious mode. When then you have a second example that I'm going to take is Elvis Presley, right? So Elvis Presley, obviously the greatest singer, also, happened in the United States. I'm sure was a great guy, but he was singing to show fame and show lust and show the fact how rich he was, right? He wanted to show. He was in the business of the showing, meaning he was coming from a greed. So when you have overactive Muladhara Chakra, right, that's what happens, just like Elvis Presley. So when you take a look at both of their lives, when I was like looking at it from a different angle, right, not from a good or bad, but just from a different angle. So when you take a look at, right, what these two examples represent is that one, like Mirabai, was seeking internal happiness. And I believe the world right now, what is taking shift is taking towards Anahata Chakra, right? Back in the day, like when you take a look at 80s, and as 80s was going about, and when you take a look at 1980s, what was happening with people is that we were into the capitalism, and we were into this Muladhara Chakra, where Muladhara Chakra was the best, and we had to make it strong. And because Muladhara Chakra comes from uncertainty, to make it certain, everybody thought that money was a root of a root of happiness, and money was the cause of really, that was going to help us propel forward into the future. And what has happened is a shift has been taking, and the balance is coming along, and things of that nature. So the question is, how does this balance happen? And now what's been happening is we have been noticing that many people are shifting towards Anahata Chakra, love, and that everybody is seeking happiness, right? So when we have one person, seek, so what essentially is happening is one person like Mirabai was seeking happiness internally, while Elvis Presley was seeking happiness externally. Back in the 80s, when capitalism was a thing, when everybody was after capitalism, we were seeking happiness externally. And now what's happening is people are seeking happiness internally. And that begins with your Anahata Chakra. The external happiness comes from Muladhara Chakra, when you are uncertain and you're trying to make some things happen and make sure that you are stable and make sure that you are safe and secure. And to do that financially safe and secure, I'm not saying that financial safety and security is not important, but too much of it is is a problem. Like I was listening to somebody the other day, and they made a great reference. And what they said was, what if you lived on earth, you made all the money you can possibly make, but you made sure that when you died, you had zero money left over. Meaning, you took that money and you passed it on to doing goodness for others. Mirabai was singing to make her heart sing, and she was seeking internal happiness, and she left with nothing, but she got everything. If you stop and think about it, because Mirabai today, 500 years later, I'm still talking about her. That means that she is somebody. Would you agree? So, question you want to ask yourself is, what type of impact are you looking to make? Are you looking to make an impact from Anahata Chakra? You are singing for by yourself, but at the end everybody remembers you because you are singing that song. You're on your tune. You're making sure that you're making the mark on the world, but at the same token you're making sure that your Anahata Chakra is completely open, to receiving whatever world may give you, and not coming from the place of greed. See, I believe that's the first lesson that I learned from these stories. The second thing is, one person was materialistic, Elvis Presley was materialistic, and the other person was spiritual, right? I believe that in today's world, spirituality is so important. To get aligned with who you are, it is so important. Making sure that you're in complete alignment. Okay, we have Kevin here. Thank you, Kevin, for joining us. Really appreciate you, my friend. We have Fernando here. Thank you, Fernando, for joining us. Really appreciate you. you know um, so as I'm talking to you about these things, as I'm having conversations with you, you want to understand what we are doing and how things are happening. Okay, so the first thing, spirituality is important. The other thing that you found is that in this story is that one person, Mirabai, was seeking peace, and the other person was seeking greed, right? And as peace wins over greed in today's time. As you look at the shift that's been happening right now, peace, harmony, happiness, abundance, all those things go in alignment. Right now, one person was simple. When you take a look at Mirabai, she was simple. She lived a very normal life. She was absolutely simple. She was always singing. She was always happy, and she was always singing about Lord, right? Lord Krishna. Now, in Elvis Presley, his life was complicated, right? That's why he passed away early. His life was complicated, too complicated. When you have too much greed, your Muladhara Chakra, when it's too much activated, that's what happens. When you shoot for greed, that's what happens. And I would love your comment here at the bottom, and I would love to know what you think about all of this topic today, because it's a little different than what you normally see, but it's a very powerful topic. So when you talk about greed, and when somebody comes from greed, their Muladhara Chakra is hyperactive, is too much active. See, sometimes, when you are active, is good thing. It's not bad thing. When you're actively seeking to make money, when you're actively taking care of your family, making sure that you're taking care of your family, you're actively making sure that you have enough money in your bank account, right, or in your investments. Those are good things. But when you are hyperactive and you are only thinking about greed, you're only thinking about money, you're making sole decision based on money itself, your Muladhara Chakra at that point is hyperactive. And when any of the chakras are overactive or underactive, you are going to hurt yourself. So the question becomes as to what's important. And what's the word for today is balance, right? Balance between, love and the greed, right? Instead of just saying, okay, let's just do one thing or the other, let's do both. I say let's do both. Let's make sure that we have a good balance going on. Let's make sure that we can propel our life forward with a good, solid balance. When you take a look at differentiation, many people you'll find around your life. Some people just want things. I want this and I want that and I want this and I want that, right? And they will make this big bucket list of things. But my question to you, my friend, is that what's more important, things or happiness? I believe that if I'm asking for somebody was asking me the other day about my business that they wanted me to join in, and they were like, so how much money you want to make next year, right? That this was one of the questions, and they were leaning towards, they were trying to get me to on the greed side, and I basically told them that my goal is simple. See, I believe in simplicity. What do you believe in? And my goal is, if my goal is to do more than I did this year. Next year, in 2021, my goal is to do more than what I did this year. That's simple. And I believe growth is more important. I believe balance is more important. My question to you is, what do you believe? As you take a look at the example of Mirabai, who was a simple person living in town hundreds of years ago, and I'm still talking about her. Elvis Presley happened some time ago, and I'm still talking about him. But look at the reference I'm making. Look at the example he set. He lived a short life, complicated life, full of greed. He had diamonds on his limousine. He had all these flash and things of that nature, which people he seemed cool, which is not bad. It's his perception. I'm not saying he was wrong. It was his perception of what he wanted to accomplish, what he thought was prestige was, what he wanted to accomplish, right? His records are well known, right, in many parts of the world. But Mirabai, a simple person, is still being remembered today after 500 years later. The question is, which one will be remembered longer? Love or greed? Think about it. Mirabai or Elvis Presley? You want to think about this for a second. So when you go off from this earth, the question is, are you going to be remembered from the perspective of Mirabai? How do you want to be remembered? Many hundreds of years later, you still want to be remembered? Or do you want to be remembered by this, just like Elvis Presley, where you are famous and you're rich? But honestly, what lasts longer is the main question we are answering today. So I would love your answers here at the bottom. Go here at the bottom and give me some likes and love and comments, and make sure to subscribe to my channel by clicking the button below. And so that way we can stay in communication longer, and we can answer this question: what's important, love or greed? As 2021 comes about, we have to make a decision. If the world is shifting, we are also shifting. And the question is, what's better? A balanced life, a well balanced life that is encompassing of everything, or just one sided life, which is greed? So you choose. Okay. With that in mind, I want to say thank you so much for joining me today. I really, really appreciate you. I love you a lot. And be sure to subscribe to my channel by clicking below. Namaste. And thank you for joining me today. See you tomorrow.